Hello, friends. Are you ready to hear the rest of the tale? Then let us commence. If you'll recall last time we spoke, the heroes had travelled to Sylvania, gate town to the Feywild, and almost immediately found themselves embroiled in whatever intense political situation was simmering under the surface of the usually giddy party city's celebratory facade. It seemed that the original rulers of the town, a group of 7 powerful spirits known as the Spiriters, had been supplanted by a group of archfey, but no one was sure when or how or why this all had happened. The Seelie Court of Fey found this curiosity to be irresistible, and dispatched several agents to investigate what exactly was going on there, including a Harangon, Sloane Skifflefeet, and a Tortle, Frobisher dos Santos, whom the heroes happened to meet. Frobisher and Sloane explained the situation, and asked the heroes to keep an eye out for a deep cover operative in town that they only knew was a tabaxi. The agent had missed a meet-up, and the spies were concerned that they were captured, or worse. After speaking with the 2 agents of Queen Titania and the Summer Court, the Ragtags found themselves in a huge social hub at the centre of town known as the Trio Life Inn. Soon after arriving, the Ragtags managed to spot the leader of the town's new spiriters, an archfey named Nim Nilan, who was enjoying a lavish banquet. They also noticed that his personal assistant, a faun named Devrina, had spoken with him and then left the inn. Drogon followed off after her, and soon found that she had returned to work in a large library tower known as the Law Spire. The stealthy half-elf watched the faun take a secret passage and, after following her through, found that she was hiding a tabaxi, who seemed to be on the run from some unsavoury folks in town. Could it be the tabaxi Frobisher and Sloane were on the lookout for? It certainly seemed like the type of coincidence one should pay special attention to, doesn't it? Drogon decided to head back to the inn, but just as he was about to leave the giant Fey library, he was stopped by a powerful presence. He found himself face to face with Seretheta, an archfey and the spiriter of Thought in Sylvania. Thought didn't seem too concerned about Drogon's trespassing in the library, and seemed somewhat disappointed about whatever it was she and the other archfey were up to in town. Before letting Drogon to go on his way, she said,
"Sometime soon you will wonder, and you will hem and you will haw about if you should come and speak with me about acquiring my aid, for some foolhardy undertaking or scheme or quest you and your companions are involved in. The answer is yes. Come and speak with me."
With that, Seretheta teleported Drogon out of the Law Spire and back to the Trio Life Inn, where the rest of the gang was speaking with a pixie who was an officer in the Garda, the town guard and, well, secret police of Sylvania. Learning quite a bit about the goings-on in the town, the stressed-out pixie not being the best at keeping secrets, the heroes learned that an important tome, the Liber Lunaris Infinitae, had been stolen from the Law Spire and that its recovery had become the most important case on the Garda's docket. Among other information, the book seemed to be an almanac and guide to many high-powered Fey and Archfey, and probably included many secrets the figures detailed within did not wish to become common knowledge, or, at the very least, did not wish to fall into the wrong hands. After Drogon shared his discovery of the hidden tabaxi in the Law Spire, the heroes led by Brace confronted Nim Nilan at his banquet. The gruff and direct dragonborn sorcerer asked the powerful though affable archfey if he knew why our heroes were transported in crated-up stasis tanks through Sylvania, since it was his signature that appeared on the waybill they had found that had led them here. The fickle and unserious entity confessed that he really didn't pay much attention to whatever bureaucratic duties he was tasked with in the town, and suggested the heroes should speak with his personal assistant Devrina, whom he teleported to the table immediately, much to the long-suffering faun's chagrin. Nim Nilan also realized that it had been a tabaxi importer-exporter named Answers, who had transported the cargo to Sylvania and had requested the sign-off onto the dapper horizon. This revelation made Devrina somewhat uncomfortable, which obviously didn't go unnoticed by the Ragtags, and she said that she hadn't seen Answers for some time, and that if he was in town at all, he would probably be at the cottage he rented on Sylvania's outskirts. Then, wrapping things up, the archfey winked and said,
"Oh, and if you do run into Answers, tell him I say, pss, 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 pss."
With that, and an apology whether heartfelt or not, Nim Nilan and Devrina dismissed the heroes who returned to their table to mull things over and consider their next move. Soon after, Devrina left Nim Nilan, and on her way out of the inn she indicated to the heroes that they should follow her out into the streets. Meeting a little ways away from the inn, the overworked fawn confessed to everyone that she knew where Answers was, and that she would take them to him. It turned out their story about being kidnapped without their knowing and stowed in strange stasis tanks filled her with guilt for her, albeit very tiny, part in everything. She also felt she could trust them all with the Tabaxi's safety, as there were dangerous folks about who very clearly wanted him dead. Devrina led them to the law spire, and soon they were introduced to Answers, the Tabaxi that could now give them, answers. Oh, wow. That's an ironic name for that particular person they were searching for, innit? Huh. And answers they quickly received. Number 1. The Tabaxi told them that he was merely a smuggler who got the crates containing the heroes out of the domains of Dread, particularly out of the city of Darkon. He had no idea who put them in the tanks and crates or even why they were then being sent back to Juel through Sylvania. He was merely doing his job, a job he wasn't happy about doing but had been forced into, to aid his brother who was financially in deep with criminal elements in Sylvania. Number 2. His brother, Juel, was most likely the Sealy agent in Sylvania that Sloane and Frobisher were looking to meet up with. Juel was often in trouble on the dark side of things, and had told Answers that he was probably going to have to disappear soon. Number 3. The man who hired Answers to transport the heroes was someone named Mordran Slake, a crime lord in Darkon who had ties that ran deeper than the underworld. Slake was dangerous and powerful, but Answers didn't believe he was the one responsible for anything that happened to the heroes other than securing their transport out of the domains. The Tabaxi suggested that the chain of what happened to them had many links beyond both he and Slake. Answers mentioned that he could take the ragtags to Darkon if they wished, but he needed them to help find Juel and get the two of them out of Sylvania safely before any of that. The Tabaxi mentioned that he had an idea where Juel might be hiding nearby, but hadn't been able to check it out since he had narrowly avoided being killed and had been in hiding as well. Leaving the law spire, the heroes and Answers made their way as clandestinely as possible out of the town and into the woods. The Tabaxi explained that Juel had a bolt hole hidden in the woods and would go to ground there if he needed. Soon they arrived at the hideout, a well-camouflaged underground den. But Juel was not there. With Regal and Unia keeping watch just outside, everyone else searched inside for clues. They found a journal Juel had been keeping and deciphered it, learning a few things. Juel's notes were sparse and needed more investigation, but he had reasoned out a few threads about the town. 1. The unseelie archfeys who now ran the town were an oddity. While Nim Nilan was the figurehead, it seemed like the spiriters of passion and reflection had more ambition to direct the town's destiny. Furthermore, Juel suggested that perhaps there was some even deeper figure well hidden behind the scenes, a presence only intuited on the periphery of things. Whoever or whatever this figure was, Juel wondered if it was connected with the strange goings-on that had been reported at Widow's Henge, a nearby feature of the town. This was something he intended to look into, but whether he did or not was unknown. 2. The Olympian contingent in the town seemed out of sorts, and as of recently as well. Juel was uncertain if it was because of the new shift in Sylvania's power structure, or if there was something more to it. 3. He mentioned that he had made contact with the Eladrin at the Crystalline Temple of Arvandor, but other than that there was no information as to who he made contact with or why. 4. Juel mentioned that a book had gone missing from the law spire, and that the archfey were pretending they didn't care but were secretly scrambling around looking for it. He had noticed that the Garda were making it a top priority, and that he was planning on looking further into it. Sounds familiar, yeah? That was all the journal contained, leaving everyone at a loss as to where Juel might be. Before any theories could be tabled, there was a strange sound of something being launched in the forest outside, and a dodecahedral object streaked into the hideout, bouncing around and settling in the midst of everyone. Suddenly, a large cloud of mustard-yellow gas exploded from the object and filled the cramped bolt hole, as well as the lungs of everyone inside. Oh no. I would say the stakes here are sufficiently escalated for our heroes. I mean, yellow gas filling a room full of secrets you're standing in? That is a cliffhanger if I've ever walked into one, yeah? Dear me, I'm quite worried about them this time. Truly I am.